fucking trash. It it literally just went out like right in the middle of my stream. Like the whole house went down. It wasn't just yeah. For like 10 minutes. I don't know. I think being this close to the university creates a little bit of a strain on the infrastructure as far as the internet goes. I feel like that's, the price I pay for living, you know, near an expensive school and a, international uh, tourist destination. Flagstaff is very popular. So sometimes we have glitches. So I'm just working on my embroidery piece. It's coming along nicely, actually. I'm very pleased with it. So I think I'm probably just gonna hang out on like other people's lives rather than try to host. It's too annoying, and I feel bad. Like I don't trust my internet enough to um, try to use StreamYards and host people because then y'all get kicked off and then I get accused of rage quitting or some bullshit. That would come, but I'm just waiting for everybody to show up. If anybody shows up. So I am I'm a really a big admirer of his work. His name is his YouTube channel is Morg Official, and he is just so on point. Like I learned so much from him, but the main reason that I trust him is because a lot of the things that he bases his research on are topics that I am very familiar with, and I know that he's speaking truthfully. Like I know he is. Morg is telling the truth. He's also an ex-Christian as well, who clearly has put a lot of thought into his beliefs. It clearly matters to him. Like you can tell that he is legitimately and genuinely passionate about what he's doing, and he's so on point. Like I can personally recommend the channel Morg Official if you find yourself interested in this subject. And he's just he just really knows what he's talking about. I can just tell you, he absolutely knows his shit. I haven't heard him say anything that is just so out of pocket um, that I'm just like, there's no way that's true. Like everything he says, every video that I watch. Another creator that I really like is Mspiracy. Although she's okay, so she is extra woo woo. I just want to let you know, Inspiracy is about as woo woo as they come, and I love the shit out of her. Dude, she really does break open your imagination and cause you to view the world. Like her purpose in what she's doing is she's brilliant. She's brilliant. She's gonna make you think. Oh, Conspiracy's gonna make you think. You're gonna be changed, and you need to be ready to hear what she has to say because she is not for the faint of heart. Conspiracy is not for the faint of heart. I can absolutely vouch for her though. I like her content. I enjoy it. It's very like it just really strokes your imagination and makes you view the world in a larger sense, and that's really what you have to do to be able to survive what's happening in the world right now. Is fucking terrifying. Holy crap. If you don't have a grasp of the spiritual, if you aren't solid and you aren't grounded, and if you don't, if all you see is the Epstein files and the wars and the violence and you're obsessed and fixated on that, and you're not looking at this from a spiritual, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, right? So what you're seeing is a spiritual battle, a cosmic battle being waged where we can all see it. And it's fascinating as fuck. Because right now, I'm sitting in my room in front of my altars, and I'm embroidering right now. I'm creating a piece of art. I'm perfectly safe, and could that change? Doubtful, but yes, anything's possible. I'm sure I'll be fine though. But this this spiritual war hasn't quite reached me yet. Hello. Welcome. Yes, I have heard about Epstein files. I have some information on my channel about it if you're interested. Um, if you are not grounded in your own reality, if you allow your nervous system to go into overdrive, I'm telling you, the Epstein files, whew, really glad that I was around for Pizzagate. Because I am a little more like seasoned as to what's coming out about the Epstein business. It's really hard to process. It's incredibly, it's the most horrifying thing imaginable, really. It's literally one of the worst things that we could imagine, and we were all aware of this back in like 2017. And some information has come out involving Ghislaine and Epstein and their involvement in 4chan and putting this information out, which is so strange. I can't make heads nor tail of that. But TikTok is on fire right now. TikTok's on fire with this. It's insane. It's insane. I don't even know what to believe. But if you are not attuned to the spiritual, like I'm literally sleeping in front of Hecate, my altar to Hecate, and there is a photograph of the angel of death taped to the mirror. Like, and Medusa, and a Medusa head. From a spiritual standpoint, I'm very well protected. And if you're protected in the spiritual, you will be protected in the physical. You should know this. So, everything is spiritual. Everything has as above, so below, as within, so without. So everything has a spiritual counterpart. So if you're protected in the spirit realm, you're protected in the material realm too. So I can afford to like sit back and kind of just observe this because I already went through my own personal apocalypse. I was just reminded today, back in 2012, when I had some revelations about the very things that are coming to light now. I just suddenly knew these things. I had no reason to know these things. I had no connection to these things. I don't know why I suddenly had visions of these things happening. And I was horrified. I was completely horrified. I didn't want to, like, I thought it was because I was starving to death and I was B12 deficient. And I was, very iron anemic. So I was very close to death. I was so close to dying for so long as a result of having the surgery. So when you're that close to dying, right, like the veil starts to thin. And once the veil thins and once you see through the death because the door, and you confront your own mortality, it does make you gives you a little more heightened awareness about spiritual things, and you start to know things that you don't really have a way to explain why you know this. You start to have a lot of revelations about shit because suddenly the veil, you've experienced something, right, like death, and man, that shit wakes your ass up. That'll wake you. You'll decide if you want to live or not when death comes to visit you. You'll make a decision. You'll get off the fence. I know you can't see me, but I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen. Because it's what I have to say that you need to know, not what I look like. There's plenty of videos. There's a picture of me, and there's videos. Don't worry, I post pictures and videos of myself all the time. I'm not hiding. I'm not catfishing anybody, I promise. Um, so if death comes for you, when death comes for you, you will have to make a decision. And so, if you survive an encounter with death, like I did, um, it really makes you very sensitive to the world around you. And I guess all that symbolism that we now know what it is, I guess on some level I knew what that symbolism was. I had some sort of understanding of that symbolism because it's so ancient. The symbolism isn't new, it's just repurposed and rebranded, right? And the old gods never died, they just rebranded, right? Like their images and their sigils and their lore and legend is everywhere in everything. It's in our movies, our entertainment. It's in our corporate world. All the references to these ancient gods, they just rebranded. They never died. They never went away. And so Moloch, who was the ancient Canaanite god who apparently demanded child sacrifice. Well, he's in the Bible, and he just never, I mean, he's a god, right? Like these gods only live so long as their followers do. Right? They need followers. And Moloch apparently promised prosperity and victory if you sacrificed your children to him. That was why he was forbidden to be worshipped by the Jewish nation, the nation of Israel, because holy shit, like what kind of shit is that? Like what kind of God wants you to sacrifice your child to them? Like, right? Like what kind of, like who's worshiping gods like that? Apparently the elites, but they're not killing their children, they're killing yours. They found a loophole. They found a loophole. That's what's happening right now in the world. So if you're not a spiritually minded person, if you're watching this and you're just like, this is the worst thing, I just like, you're horrified. Like you can't even wrap your mind around the horror of it. It's just unbelievably, just like, we just don't even know. We are not ready. We're not ready for this. I think that's why ICE is... I think all that while the shit in Minneapolis is happening because these files, people need a distraction. They need an outlet for their rage. So, because damn sure don't want to turn it on the ones who are doing these horrible things, right? Let's go ahead and attack ICE agents. Let's go ahead and start an all-out war on the streets of America because the chickens are coming home to roost. The chickens are coming home to roost, guys. Just to let y'all know. I mean, it's just the way it has to be at this point, right? So, when I was about 11 years old, I had this nightmare. And it wasn't a nightmare, it was a prophecy. I just didn't understand it. But, that I remember it all these 45 years later, tells you that it was not just a bad dream. It was a prophecy of things to come. And what's funny is in the dream, I had missed the rapture. And I would have to watch the world burn. And I'd say the world is burning. And we all missed the rapture. Remember last year? I don't know, were you guys on TikTok when everybody was talking about the rapture talk? That didn't happen. And now the world is burning. And I just remember being so absolutely terrified of this, thinking that I was going to, be asked to take the mark of the beast. And that I was going to have to get my head chopped off for Jesus, because that's what I was taught in church in the 70s, dude. It was brutal being in church. Y'all don't even know. Oh my God, having to watch movies like Left Behind, that was based on like the Pentecostals in the 70s. Um, Having to watch these movies of people like having to get their heads chopped off with guillotines and taking, marks on their forehead, and just we really let our imaginations run wild back then. I mean, remember Satanic Panic? Yeah, that sort of thing. So uh, that's how I was raised, is the end. So I'm watching all this going, this is, because in the dream, I wasn't harmed. I was watching it from a distance. I was watching the world burn from a distance, but I was unharmed, right? And I realized all these years later what that dream meant, because I'm literally watching the world burn while I'm sitting here. Now, I'm fairly confident in my ability to survive whatever, right? Like, my God, right? Like, I know who I am. I know who I am. I'm not worried for myself, but I am worried for a lot of other people who are just coming awake. They're just coming online. And so I kind of want to help those people. And I think that's the purpose of this channel. That's really the purpose of this channel. As you come online, as you come awake, right? Just know that some of us have been here for a while and we know the way. I went through it, so you don't have to, right? I mean, I cannot mitigate the shock and horror that you're about to experience if you're not already experiencing it. The knowledge, the realization, the truth. This does not surprise me. What's coming out? It's horrifying, it's sickening, it's gross, it's disgusting, but honestly, if you're honest with yourself on some level, you're not surprised. You've always known. If you've been here for a while, you've been here before, you recognize the symbolism. It was embedded. You know the signs, you know the symbols. That's what awakened you. That's what you like. That's what's waking you up, is these signs and symbols everywhere. They're pointing them out, and you're going, oh my God, how did we not know? How did we not see it before? It was in our faces the whole fucking time. They were playing in our faces the whole time. So now we're here, and nothing is what it seems. All those conspiracy theorists, y'all owe them an apology. I remember, because I did not keep my mouth shut. I don't know what came over me, but I just felt like telling everybody. I was crying it didn't occur to me that I would be in danger. Probably should have rethought that. It literally did not occur to me that I was maybe that these things were made me a target. Like, telling people that I like, because they'd have to figure out how I fucking know where I got my information. That was the first question, is how does she know? How does she know? Where is she getting her information? Boy, that got me noticed. And it was just revelation. It was revelatory. I don't know how I got the information. I just knew. I just suddenly knew. And of course, it would be years before any of this would start to come out. I think that I received advance notice, supernaturally, that these things would be revealed. These things would start coming out. And there wasn't anything for me to do, and I probably should have kept my mouth shut, but I don't appear to ever have been able to do that. So anyway, this thing that happened, I it kind of got superseded. It kind of got lumped into the hysteria and the psychosis from the B12 deficiency and the iron deficiency. Um, I was hallucinating. I was dazed from a coma. I needed like emergency medical care at the time. So, like, I just sounded like a lunatic. And after I got the medical care that I needed, I kind of forgot about the experience. I kind of chalked it up to the hallucinations I was having, imagining these terrible things happening. Right? Like what was wrong with me that I was thinking that, right? So I just kind of chalked it up to the starvation that I was experiencing, the severe life-threatening malnourishment, right? The severe mineral vitamin deficiency, calorie deficiency. Um, so I completely forgot. And then when all this started to come up about Epstein and the files and Pizzagate, I went, oh my God, well, holy shit. That's what I, that shit, like, how did I know? Like, where did I get this information? How did I pick up on this? Now, a lot of weird shit happened when I was down in Texas. A lot of weird, unexplainable experiences. And we lived not far from the freeway, but also not far from like this massive electrical transformer and the power lines. And my kids had issues also. They experienced neurological issues while we were living down in the woodlands because of where this complex, this community was located. Duncan had so many issues. I was constantly taking him to specialists, right? And so if I were dealing with, if I'm a natural psychic and I have natural gifts because I've also had a near-death experience, and then I end up in this community, like the whole time we lived in Texas, we lived in this one fucking place, and I experienced like extreme, um, when I was going through that. So I think it was all just made worse being exposed to those that, but like I said, I started getting the medical care that I needed, right? Like I started seeing a team of doctors, right? I had care at a private hospital, you know, I, I had it pretty, I had like the best medical care in the world. No expense was spared. So I was in the best shape of my life. And so life just got busy, but yet this sense of like being watched, the sense of being observed, the just like the shit I had been posting, the things that I wrote in the state struck a nerve. And it was best just to gaslight me and tell everybody I was crazy because of how close to the truth I accidentally got. And that is my explanation for why I got targeted. Because I'm a natural born psychic. I'm absolutely very attuned to my environment and psychic, right? And I've learned over time to trust my psychic abilities, to trust my innate abilities, my gifts. So I was psychically, like, on some level, I had a connection to this. I was connected to this. I didn't know how. And certainly the things that I was saying, I was posting, I was talking publicly, I was writing, I had a blog, I published a book. Like, I was saying a lot of stuff that wasn't known, and I should not have known the things I was saying. And this got me on the radar. Oh my God, did it fuck up my life? So now the whole world's on fucking fire. Not just my life. Everybody is in the same fucking boat. Everybody is with me now. It's so nice to see you guys. I'm really glad you guys finally made it. I'm glad we're all on the same page. And if we're not, we're going to be there by the end of all of it. Because at some point, you're literally not going to be able to deny any of it. And you're just going to have to trust me. Because I really have no reason to make this shit up, but I remember having extremely clear visions of human sacrifice, blood sacrifice, children, humans being kept as cattle underground. And it was an ancient practice that was still happening. This is the revelation that the profound, like, it was bad enough getting a picture of ancient human sacrifice rituals, like having an image of that, right? But then the realization that it's still happening, that it was still happening, that it was still going on. Under, like, I just knew that it was still fucking happening. And that fucking knocked me on my ass. And there was nobody to tell, so I just started writing about it. And I wrote this manuscript and I shared it. And just completely oblivious to the fact that what I was, because part of me was like, this is probably just a fantasy. It's probably just a hallucination. It was part of the hallucination. It was part of the B12 deficiency, right? Of course it was, right? Of course it was the anemia and the malnutrition and the hallucinations. I mean, I was so close to a coma that, like, the Archangel Michael, like, visited me, and I had a whole visit with him. And then I flew to Vegas and tried to pull a Lady Godiva in the Las Vegas airport. And then I was promptly taken to a mental hospital where I was diagnosed with a severe, life-threatening case of B12 deficiency. And they were like, holy shit. Gave me a shot of B12, and then suddenly, within a couple hours, days, I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. It was literally the B12 that caused me to, like, lose my fucking mind. It was that I was that deficient. And the reason I did it was because I was challenging the government. I went to the airport and I told TSA to fuck off because they were, like, herding us like cattle through the airport security. And it just reminded me of my vision of humans being kept as fucking cattle. And I'm in line with security at the airport, and I'm like, oh my God, we're fucking cattle. And then they, like, herd me into this, like, body scanner, and then they're gonna, like, pat me down like I'm fucking livestock. I lost my fucking shit. I raised my dress and I was like, I'm fucking naked under here. You don't need to fucking touch me. And that's and that's when a Vegas cop named Michael, his name was Michael, and I had a meeting with the Archangel Michael the night before, and he told me to go to Vegas and that I would know what to do when I got there. I shit you not, that was what happened. While I was in the throes of this, I was, like, days from a fucking B12 deficiency coma and an iron deficiency anemia. Like, I was not in my right mind, and yet I did this, and this thing happened. And I met a Vegas cop named Michael, and he, like, talked to me, and I told him what was going on, and he agreed that they did not need to fucking put their hands on me. He agreed that they were in the wrong, that I clearly wasn't a threat, and they were just like, oh my God, he totally took up for me, this cop. He totally had my back, and he got me on that plane, and I was promptly taken to the mental hospital because obviously my behavior was not, I was clearly in, like, severe distress. And I got diagnosed. They did blood work and they diagnosed me with B12 deficiency, and then they fucking sent me home. And then I went and found a whole team of high-priced doctors, courtesy of the Navy, and got my shit together and got my health back. But all the shit I wrote and said and did in that time frame, it was too late, and I had a lot of eyes on me because of that. And that is the truth of how I ended up, all of that in Texas ended up happening. And that's the story, guys. But the near-death experience turned on all of my psychic abilities. That happens sometimes, doesn't it? And so Yeah, so I started like picking up on shit. I started knowing, just knowing information that I had no business knowing. And this, of course, because of who I fucking married, made me like worth watching. Because what the fuck else did I know that I didn't know? That was, I shouldn't know. Right? Like what else do I know that I'm not supposed to know? If I'm not supposed to know this, there's probably a lot of other shit I'm not supposed to know either that I do. And now everybody's looking at me, waiting for me to see what I'm gonna do next. And that's the truth. And on that note, don't go anywhere. I have to pee. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Thank you. So, so yes, I immediately, I mean, the blog, right? Like I started blogging. I mean, the whole thing happened at a military base, two military bases. The whole near-death experience, the whole point of me dying, starving to death, to the point where I died in front of my kids, happened because of negligence of doctors at military treatment facilities. So of course, I'm going to be on the radar. I was on the radar before I left Washington. Of course, they had to keep an eye on me. They had to keep an eye on me. There was no choice but to keep an eye on me. The gaslighting that nobody gave a fuck about me, you got to be kidding me. Absolutely. Oh, so many fucks were given. So many fucks were given. And so my behavior as a result of like being drugged, right? Being given medication against my will, right? And the fact that the police were involved in this, the sheriff's department, was just hugely scandal. Like people lost their job. People got fired for being involved in this. Like it was a huge scandal. What happened to me was just an embarrassment to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. Like it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And I can never go back to Texas. I would never, just but I can't because of how horrible. I mean, there's just like, don't ever even think about putting your hands on me again. I literally almost died because of them. Like, they had no business. Like, I could never have been forced to go to the mental hospital except at the point of a gun. And that's what they did. They used the cops to coerce me. And the medication that they gave me nearly killed me. This is just, oh my God, so much negligence to the point where it feels like attempted murder. So I survived it and everything's fine, right? Like I'm doing okay. I'm doing great, by the way. Thanks for asking. And so I don't anticipate being targeted ever again for any reason. Because it just makes it really obvious. If I'm targeted ever again, it's like, come on, guys. At this point, you got to be kidding me. Like, we're done with that. Like, I'm done with that. So I am still working on my third iced coffee of the day. Ever since that guy confirmed that coffee is not dehydrating, I don't fucking care. I drink all the iced coffee I want. I don't even sweat it anymore. Because I've always known coffee wasn't dehydrating. But that's that, like, everybody knows this. So, like, you constantly get told, stop drinking coffee. It's like, fuck you. Like, fuck off. Like, it's my one pleasure in life. Like, it's such a, like, I love my iced coffee. I really do. It's like, I look forward to getting my iced coffee. Like, it makes me happy. It gives me a little shot of dopamine. And it's harmless and it helps. It keeps me hydrated, gives me energy. Like, honestly, I love iced coffee. To me, it's the perfect drink to keep me going throughout the day. However you drink it, however you like it, iced coffee is just the way to go. 100% iced coffee. So, so yes, I did the thing at the Vegas airport, and I'm not mad. I'm proud of myself. I stood up to the tyrants. Remember, you guys don't remember TSA being kind of tyrannical and like harassing people, just trying to, just looking for terrorists. I mean, kind of like this is the same thing. It's the same fucking thing. At the time, TSA was just out of fucking control, and they were targeting attractive passengers, and like using like as an excuse to grope people. Like there was multiple accusations that I would find out about later, and I'd be like, well, yeah, look what they fucking did to me. I was clearly not packing heat. They had no reason to want to search me, except for they were fucking perverts. And the cop agreed with me, Officer Michael. So hopefully my little excursion kind of shone a light on this abusive practice, and kind of like, and I mean, I haven't heard much about TSA molesting people anymore, so maybe some good was done. Maybe I helped change that because I stood up. I had to get fucking started crazy. But you know what? Sometimes you just have to get to your wits' end. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of, and you have to give away all your fucks to stand up like that, to put yourself out there like that. I couldn't have done it in any other condition. I couldn't have went and did that without being like, it had to, like, it's like, whatever, I'm gonna go out with a bang. So once I got home and I got the treatment I needed, I was back at work within a month. I was running. I was cycling 20 miles multiple times a week. Like, I was very active. I worked in a spa. Like, I was in the fucking best shape of my life. I was getting these infusions, iron infusions, weekly B12 injections. I completely fucking recovered and then some. So there was never any fucking reason to haul me off my goddamn patio and drug me. Except that you were trying to fucking kill me and you used the cops. And I'm telling you, that shit was wrong. Because that pussy I married didn't have the guts to stand up for me. And that's where he went wrong. And he went ahead and he let them put that shit on him. Whoever was behind that, I still to this day do not believe that Skip actually made the call. He was as shocked as I was when the fucking cop showed up. And he was told to take the fall. Now, who made the call? I guess if FOIA could tell me that. I thought about it. I'd like to know who fucking made that call. Who was behind that. I don't know. Skip took the blame. So who ordered him to take the fall? That's what I want to know. And so my stance on that, being the genesis of everything that came after, 100% has never changed. Literally, I was on Facebook as I was leaving his ass and going back to Washington, making videos. I'm posting to Facebook and posting to Facebook and saying, "You cocksucker, I can't fucking believe you did that to me. You piece of shit. That's it. We're done." Like, the betrayal was just, there was no coming back from that. Absolutely could never have trusted him again after that. There was no reason to fucking throw me in a mental hospital over Thanksgiving weekend and force feed me drugs. That was an act of fucking aggression. That was an act of fucking aggressive outright. And so somebody had the arms, the legal abilities to make that call on my behalf, to have that done to me. And the thing that pisses me off is all this shit coming out about Epstein now and the files and shit. It just pisses me off because I was right. You motherfuckers, I was right. And y'all know it. And now I'm never going to shut the fuck up about what you did to me as a result of me being right. I think of everything I have survived, everything I went through, everything y'all did what you did to me because I was right. You can't stop everybody. And the files have been released. So I was right. And now I do witchcraft openly. So, you know, there you have it. Yeah, I was right. So, anyway, if the horrors of what's been going on start to get to you, you can just come hang out with me. Okay? I have survived knowing all this. But I do witchcraft now because of it. Yeah. Yeah. This is not an aesthetic. This is not just me performing. I know all of these things have genuine power. They have genuine spiritual power. They represent forces and ideas, forces of nature, forces of dark forces of nature that exist all around us, are always there. These dark forces of nature, just because you can't see them and you refuse to acknowledge that they exist, doesn't mean they don't exist. And so I acknowledge the existence of these dark forces, not for the purpose of worshiping them, but for understanding them and honoring them as having just as much right and beauty. I have 2 altars. I have one to Hecate, accompanied by Medusa and the Angel of Death, and a spider, and a skull, and a crow, and all these things that people think are evil, right? That are scary. The night, the moon, right? Witchcraft, right? But it's a beautiful altar. It really is. Everything on there has a purpose for being there. Everything on there has a spiritual beauty. The spider. The spider is my favorite, despite being the most simple, because the spider is so like grown ass men who are trained by their government to kill can be scared of a spider. That's why we revere them. Because these creatures have such an amazingly fearsome reputation despite being so beneficial to this planet. I just love that about spiders. And I grew up with a severe case of arachnophobia. Oh my gosh, terrified of spiders growing up. And now I honor them because holy shit, something so small and so genuinely, for the most part, harmless scares the living shit out of grown ass men. Men who fancy themselves to be killers will fucking scream like a bitch at the sight of a spider. I just love that. And there's Medusa. Here, let me show you. There. Then there's Medusa. Now, what I love now, my edition of this was not anticipated. I saw her in Home Goods during Halloween, and I was instantly, I didn't even blink. I literally just snatched her up. I didn't I didn't think about the cost. I just said, that's mine. That's for me. That was why I came into the store. And at first I set her on the altar, and I was told that um, that was not the proper place. And so she was given a pedestal next to the altar because she's a guardian. And what I didn't really think too much about Medusa until I actually had her. And then I looked into her lore. And I thought, how fucking perfect. How fucking perfect. She was raped by, she was a priestess of Athena. And she was raped by Poseidon. And Athena, the goddess of war, punished Medusa by turning her into a Gorgon. And then no one could look at her again because they would turn to stone. And then Jason came. I think it was Jason. I don't know. Anyway. So there's a lot of dispute on, like, the Greeks were very, misogynistic. They had fear of powerful women, and all of their goddesses were like unpredictable and powerful, right? Like, I don't know, the Greeks were so contradictory in their attitudes about women. But some people believe that Athena turning her into a Gorgon, it protected her from ever being raped again. It was her protection. No god would ever rape her again. Like, she would never. But Poseidon, my ex was in the Navy. All this shit happened to me. Most of this shit happened to me because Skip was in the Navy. None of this shit would have happened to me. My life would never have gone down this path if I hadn't fucking married that asshole. This is literally all his fault. So it's my fault for marrying him. But he knew he knew what I was getting into, and I didn't. And that kind of pisses me off. But, so I didn't realize this at the time. I didn't make the connection. But there's just something about that bust of Medusa. I snatched her up. And I love that she represents how fearsome a woman who survived. Like, she was innocent. She was completely fucking innocent, Medusa. She was just minding her own fucking business, working for Athena as a priestess. She was doing everything she was supposed to do, and fucking Poseidon. So it was always Athena's fault that she allowed Poseidon to get anywhere near her. It was always on her. The goddess of war. So represents this Like the Navy always seems like the female of the military. And so I associate, especially with Poseidon being in the picture, like, I get it. Like, you can't separate the Navy, Athena, the goddess of war, and Poseidon, the god of the sea. It's the fucking Navy. Hello. So, everything on this altar serves a purpose and is significant to me. The angel of death. Obviously, my story is heavily, heavily, heavily marked by a very intimate brush with death. I was so close for so long. So I had to learn to face it. I had to learn to cope with it. So that's what he represents. That's what he's doing here. So everything on the altar is dark, right? Like it's depending on how enlightened you are, these things might cause you, they might scare you. But and because they are scary, but they're also beautiful. And when you appreciate the beauty, you lose the fear. And that's what this altar represents. But at the center of it is the goddess of witchcraft, who's been around from the very fucking beginning. And she owns the center of the altar. She crowns the altar. She represents real magic, real power, and real protection, because she guards the mirror, and the mirror is the portal. Nothing comes through except for her permission. So everything on the altar serves a purpose. And it might seem dark to you, it might seem scary, but it's also beautiful if you allow yourself to see in the dark. And that's a thing a lot of people never really learn to do, is see in the dark. And so you have to see your way out of the dark back into the light. But you never forget what the darkness taught you. And that's what this altar represents, is that what the darkness has taught me, that I honor the lessons I learned and the ones who taught the lessons. And they came first. They were here first. They're my guides and my protectors. That's why they're here. So I'm not that worried anymore about being targeted, because there's nobody here right now. The box is showing 0, so I don't know if there is actually somebody here and it's not showing. Sometimes that happens. But once upon a time, there would have been a couple dozen people here at least. I'm like, I was never huge, I was never commercial, but I was being watched consistently. Because what happened to me happened while my now ex was in the military. Everything I've told you makes perfect sense. The consequence, the fallout from that, and the suppression of it. There's, of course, they have vested interests in suppressing my story and suppressing me, and yet allowing me to live my life. There's like no reason to continue like trying to punish me, because that only brings a lot of negative press and a lot of bad karma to anybody who fucks with me. It just never ends well, does it? For anybody. So, if you're just waking up to these things, trust me, they've got bigger fish than me to fry. Like, I'm like, they don't even care anymore about me. They don't. All this blew up. And there's no, Pandora is out of the box, and there's no putting her back in. All this stuff is coming out, and there's no stopping it, and they know that. So I am the least of their fucking worries, guys. I'm literally the least of their worries. I'm not doing anything over here. But I am just saying, I am telling you that back in like 2012, I had a revelation of these things that I chalked up to just hallucination, that I literally forgot about because it was part of that B12 deficiency nightmare that I was living at the time. And come to find out that because the revelation was an absolute certainty, just it was a fact. It was still happening. It was still going on. It was still going on. But again, I forgot about it because I thought it was just part of, nothing came of it. And there was no way to, I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't tell people what I had seen. I couldn't tell people what I knew. But it came back again, back in 2017. I had another, this time more, not just a knowing, but I went on this weird astral trip through the desert and had literal visions of shit that happened. I didn't even know. I didn't know it felt like it was history, but it was really, really, really old history that wasn't written. It's really hard to explain. Anyway, so all these experiences got me interested in ancient aliens and astrology and astrotheology and gods and goddesses and ancient history and the planets, and it just sparked my interest in all of these things. So that's literally what I think about most. It's what I think about most. It's what I'm passionate about, really. So if you hang out with me, expect to hear more like this, if this is what you're interested in. So as the horrors of everything start to sink in and people start to panic about what's going on in the world, the realization is really, I'm really afraid you guys aren't ready for the truth, but I'm here. When it finally dawns on all of you, I'll be here to at least help you get through it, if I can, if you'll let me. So anyway, I guess I can end this now. It's about an hour. So anyway, thank you guys for listening, and be safe out there, okay?